This is a Fox News alert. Presidential candidate Mitt Romney spoke moments ago in California. We just got video in from a news conference there. He is responding to criticism after calling 47% of Americans freeloaders at a previous campaign event. Let's listen.
Question and answer session at a fundraiser event. It doesn't capture the question, so I don't know precisely what was asked, but I think it was about my campaign and how I'd be able to get the majority of voters to support me. By the way, whoever has released the snippets I'd certainly appreciate if they released the whole tape and so we could see all of it. I believe the point I made is the president starts out with a large number of the voters, 47, 48, 49%, something like that. These are people who are in his camp, and they'll vote for him almost no matter what. And I also have a large number of people who will vote for me almost no matter what, at least I hope so. And my campaign effort is to focus on the people in the middle. The people I will try and draw into my campaign are largely people who voted for Barack Obama last time around, but who I want to have as part of my campaign to become successful. So it's a question and answer, as I recall, about the process of the campaign and how I'm going to get the 51 or 52% I need. And I point out it's by focusing on those folks that are neither in his camp nor in my camp. Of course, there's a very different approach of the two different campaigns. As I point out, I recognize that among those that pay no tax, approximately 47% of Americans, I'm not likely to be highly successful with the message of lowering taxes. That's not as attractive to those who don't pay income taxes as it is to those who do. And likewise, those who are reliant on government are not as attracted to my message of slimming down the size of government. And so I then focus on those individuals who I believe are most likely to be able to be pulled into my camp and help me win the 51 or 50.1% that I'd need to become the next president. This is, of course, something I talk about a good deal in rallies and speeches and so forth, which is the president and I have very different approaches to the future of America and what it takes to ignite our economy and put people back to work. The president believes in what I've described as a government-centered society, where government plays a larger and larger role, provides for more and more of the needs of individuals. And I happen to believe instead in a free enterprise, free individual society, where people pursuing their dreams are able to employ one another, build enterprises, build the strongest economy in the world. I happen to believe that my approach is the approach that will put 23 million people back to work again. We've watched the results of the president's approach over the last 3.5, 4 years, and his government-centric, larger and larger government approach has meant that we have 15 million more people on food stamps, 23 million people out of work or stopped looking for work or underemployed. We have had 43 straight months with unemployment above 8%. And my view is that the right approach for our nation is not to adopt a government-centered approach, but instead a free people, free enterprise, free market, consumer-driven approach. And that will build the strongest economy for ourselves and for the coming generations. Yes?
Say in your video that the people who are receiving government benefits or didn't pay taxes saw themselves as victims or weren't willing to take responsibility for their own lives and their own futures. Do you have any response to that? What did you mean by that?
Well, you said a number of things there, and the answer is that I'm talking about the political process of drawing people into my campaign. Of course, individuals are going to take responsibility for their life, and my campaign is about helping people take more responsibility and becoming employed again, particularly those that don't have work. This whole campaign is focused on getting people jobs again, putting people back to work. This is ultimately a question about direction for the country. Do you believe in a government-centered society that provides more and more benefits, or do you believe instead in a free enterprise society where people are able to pursue their dreams? I believe the latter will help more people get good jobs. This is a campaign fundamentally about how to help the middle class in America and how to bring people out of poverty into the middle class. And we've seen the results of the last 3-4 years, and it has not worked. My approach will get 12 million new jobs and rising take-home pay. Yes, Steve?
You're not stepping away from anything you said in this video, are you? You're not backing away from anything. And do you worry you've offended this 47% who you mentioned?
Well, it's not elegantly stated. Let me put it that way. I'm speaking off the cuff in response to a question, and I'm sure I could state it more clearly and in a more effective way than I did in a setting like that. And so I'm sure I'll point that out as time goes on. But we don't even have the question given the snippet there, nor the full response. And I hope the person who has the video would put out the full material. But it's a message which I'm going to carry and continue to carry, which is, look, the president's approach is attractive to people who aren't not paying taxes because, frankly, my discussion about lowering taxes isn't as attractive to them, and therefore I'm not likely to draw them into my campaign as effectively as those who are in the middle. This is really a discussion about the political process of winning the election, and of course I want to help all Americans have a bright and prosperous future. And I'm convinced that the president's approach has not done that and will not do that. Yeah, Garrett?
Well, Governor, this is now the second time where you've made comments at a fundraiser to donors that are different from what you say on the trail, either in terms of policy or at least in this case in terms of tone. What assurances can you give to voters that you're not saying different things to people who fund your campaign than what you're saying to them in public and on the stage?
You're coming to my fundraisers, and this is the same message that I give to people, which is that we have a very different approach, the president and I, between a government-dominated society and a society driven by free people pursuing their dreams. I'm talking about the process of campaigns. Typically, I don't talk about process in speeches because I think candidates are wiser to talk about policy and their vision than to talk about how they're going to win an election. At a fundraiser, you have people say, Governor, how are you going to win this? And so I respond, well, the president has his group, I have my group. I want to keep my team strong and motivated, and I want to get those people in the middle. That's something which fundraising people who are parting with their monies are very interested in knowing, can you win or not? And that's what this was addressing.
Are all of the things that you said in the video things you believe? Are those core convictions?